Let's talk about Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks. Obviously, they are off to a terrible start this year. As of this recording, they are 1-6, and it is not looking like it is getting better for the Milwaukee Bucks. And there's just all these stories, speculation of what's going to be next for the Milwaukee Bucks and their near future, short-term, long-term future. Is Giannis going to be around? Is he going to be staying in Milwaukee past this season? He's made some comments about anyone can get traded. I can get traded and stuff when I feel like he's kind of setting the tone, getting us ready, starting to roll out for a potential exit from Milwaukee. But we don't know what's going to happen then. But for now, we do have some odds. We do have some teams that could be potential landing spots for Giannis that we want to dabble in and talk about. So if Giannis does potentially get moved, whether it's before the trade deadline, next summer, whenever, here are the teams that are the favorites to land Giannis, led by the Miami Heat, plus 150 odds. Brooklyn Nets coming in right behind them. Then we have the Rockets, Spurs, and then Grizzlies. And honestly, this is my first time seeing this, looking at these teams. Some teams on here that I wasn't expecting. But Jerry, kind of want to get your thoughts, and I want to get his thoughts too, your dog's thoughts. On what do you think? Well, first of all, just the situation in Milwaukee as is, and if he is to leave, kind of what you think of these teams, and if there are any teams that are missing potentially, or that he could potentially go to.
Yeah, the rumors are kind of hilarious, honestly, because you just kind of expect this whenever a star player's team, especially at this age in their careers, doing this poorly. Mm-hmm. That this is exactly what NBA Twitter and NBA social media, X. Is what we're all used to.
Politically correct.
Yeah, for Elon. But this is like what we're used to seeing whenever players are doing poorly with their current teams. But I think the one team that's missing from here that I would like to see get in the mix potentially is probably the Clippers. Because obviously the situation with Kawhi Leonard is an indefinite one when we don't know when he's going to return. James Harden is kind of the system, as he likes to call himself, and the one-man show that's
a tough system to trust. That's a tough system.
To try to keep their, I guess, playoff hopes, if they have that in line in their new building, I think it'd make even more sense, even if it's not this year, but next season going in with a mentality trying to get a star player that's going to be available. And Giannis is still pretty damn good. He's still averaging Giannis-like numbers, over 25 a game, 10 to 12 boards, 5 assists, 2 blocks, whatever. He's going to be in the MVP race and the DPOY race. So I think I like the Clippers. But out of the teams that they listed here, I'm not really in love with a lot of them. Like the Nets don't make a lot of weird. They're
the Nets have picks. The Nets have picks if they want to really,
But it's like they get Giannis. Again. They get Giannis, and then what happens? You're right. It's the same situation.
You have to have a plan in place of we're going to get Giannis, but we're also going to get this player, whatever. Yeah. You have to have. You can't just get Giannis blind, and then hope it works out.
That's gonna it stinks. And the Rockets, I'm kind of maybe that's the best team on there because you can kind of salvage some of that young talent that you do have.
Right.
You could afford to get a guy like Giannis, but you got to give up Şengün. You got to give up Cam Whitmore or Reed Shepherd. You got to give me Amen Thompson. I need a lot of your young players. And for Milwaukee, that might be the most entertaining one. Because all these other teams don't necessarily have the right pieces in place, other than Brooklyn, if they're stupid enough to give up picks for Giannis at this point. But I think the Rockets probably make the most sense out on this list. But I like the Clippers to try to figure out how to get their way into it because you have a new stadium. You need
to fill those seats. You need to fill that massive fan section, whatever the hell they call it. The wall, is that what it is?
Yeah,
is it something?
Our Clippers guy Tomer, who's in there, it's kind of awesome.
I've heard it's sick. I've heard it's absolutely sick. But yeah, man, I think Giannis is not going to be in Milwaukee. Maybe not. I think this season that happens, he'll be in Milwaukee. I don't think they'll trade him at all this season, but I think next offseason is when we're really going to – who knows how this season plays out. They might turn things around. They might go on a 20-game win streak for all we know, and then we're all set. But I think, looking at these teams, you're right. A lot of these teams are weird. even like the Grizzlies, like the idea of him and John Morant's cool, but at the same time, like I don't know how that really.
Spacing sucks.
Yeah, spacing
If
would
that's
be
a deal.
awful if that happened. So I don't think the Spurs, like obviously the idea of him and Wemby is funny,
Scary.
but scary. But I don't know if
What pieces?
I don't know if they have enough pieces to get that done. The Nets again, like I mean, if they want to get a star player, they want to get a face of the franchise. They have the picks for it. They have some guys that they can trade. They could do it. And I know I don't want to sound like people speculate this team all the time and stuff, and they're not on this list. But like Golden State, if Giannis becomes available, Golden State is going to at least be in the running for him. They have, I mean, we talked about in the podcast. If you guys would love to check that out, episode 62, we're talking about Jonathan Kuminga and his availability right now. You know, I'm not saying Kuminga gets a deal done, but like they are more willing to get rid of some guys now that they were before.
They got to move off the pods, though. You remember?
And I mean,
They
well,
didn't want
there's
to
a
move
big
him for
difference
Lauri
between
Markkanen.
Lauri Markkanen and Giannis. If Giannis is on the
I
table,
hope they know that.
I'm getting rid of Potts if Giannis is on the table. But it kind of goes with the whole maximizing Steph Curry's window and stuff like that. You know,
I would do
he
it.
can, if that's one way to do it. So I mean, I think that's just a team that you naturally just have to keep an eye on if something like that happened. We've seen in the past that like there are teams that are going to be favorites and stuff. They're going to be teams that come out of the woodworks and just like make a shocking move, or like the Raptors trading for Kawhi, trading a lifelong, a lifer in DeMar DeRozan. But like just because a team is the favorite doesn't mean that a player is going to go there, or a team's going to work with them. A team come out of the woodworks, and you know they have a good package, a good trade offer, then Milwaukee just might accept it, even if it's from a weird team. So you never know. You never know where a star can go in the league nowadays.
Yeah. You know, they just need to go in with expectations that you're not going to get a deal that actually makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But you can get a deal that's as close to as equal as possible. But for a player of this magnitude, a player with multiple MVPs, with a DPOY and a championship, you should get a bargain deal if possible. And like you said, maybe that is from the Warriors. Give me Kuminga, give me Moody, give me pods and picks. Maybe it's from the Rockets, who I think honestly probably have the best deal because of Şengün, because of Thompson, because of Whitmore, whoever they'll make available. But teams like the Grizzlies, teams like the Spurs, and even teams like the Heat, I understand that they're in this top 5 odds list that we're looking at, but I just don't get what they're going to give me. Like, if I'm Milwaukee management, I don't want Tyler Hero and picks for Giannis.
Yeah.
I don't want Desmond Bane and Jaren Jackson and Brandon Clark for Giannis.
Unfortunately, when it comes to a player of Giannis's caliber, no matter what trade you make,
it's going to be lopsided.
It's going to be lopsided unless you get an abundance of picks in the long run, like those picks on number 1 overall picks and stuff. But it's kind of hard to get the full value back. But you have to kind of have that expectation going into a deal. You know you're not going to get the best out of it.